Hello and welcome to Boomerang, West Lothian's weekly talking newspaper. It's Saturday the 28th March and this morning it's Team 2 who are bringing you the local news from around the county, which is taken from this week's Courier with permission. I'm Rebecca and also reading for us is Jane and Christina, who has very graciously volunteered to join us this morning because unfortunately Sarah has another engagement and Joanne is unwell, so get well soon, Joanne. Diane is in charge of the recording and editing today, which we all appreciate. Well, we've had all sorts of weather this month and definitely we've had all seasons in a day at times. Now I don't think there's anything in the postbag, so we can go on with the news. Fiona reflects on the parley years. Fiona Hislop is set to bow out of Holyrood. This article is by Ross Thompson. Linlithgow MSP Fiona Hislop has reflected on more than 25 years in frontline politics as she prepares to say goodbye to Holyrood next month. She has served as an MSP for the entire lifetime of the Scottish Parliament since 1999. Fiona said, "Last spring I announced that I was retiring and therefore not seeking re-election this May. As one of the original members of the Scottish Parliament to be elected as the Parliament reconvened in 1999, it has been an honour to serve the people of West Lothian, first as a regional Lothians MSP and then since 2011 as the MSP for the Linlithgow constituency. After 27 years in frontline politics, there is much that I can reflect on and be thankful for, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the excellent organisations, charities, local businesses, community groups and individuals I have met in my time as a Linlithgow MSP. West Lothian is my home, and it has truly been a privilege to represent the strong, resilient, community-minded people across the county, in every town and throughout the beautiful surrounding villages, all of whom, like me, are proud of their community and its people. It has been a joy to meet so many brilliant and passionate people and be part of the plans and projects they have worked so hard on. I have particularly fond memories of officially opening Armadale Academy, of celebrating each year with West Lothian College's graduates, and working with and being interviewed by the young people taking part in the Scottish Youth Film Foundation, which was founded in Armadale. I have loved supporting Sybil's annual prize giving for its students and apprentices, supporting local bands like the Whitburn Band and the Bog Hall and Bathgate Pipe Band, and of course, being the chieftain of the 46 West Lothian Highland Games in 2017. I was also very pleased to help secure the film studio at the Pyramids in Bathgate. I'm very proud to have worked on a number of campaigns that have directly impacted local families and households in West Lothian. In my time as an MSP, I helped to save children's services at St John's Hospital, secured the Bathgate to Airdrie rail line, including the addition of a station in Blackridge, secured the four-way motorway junctions in Whitburn and Winchborough, ensured a task force was set up to help the Vion Hall workers in Broxburn get new jobs, successfully argued for the removal of the painful PFI payments from West Lothian College, and secured Screen Scotland's support for the new film studios at the Pyramids in Bathgate. Excuse me. Fiona, the current Transport Secretary, confirmed she would stand down from her seat in March of last year, having held multiple SNP cabinet roles, including Education, Culture and Economy Secretary. She added, "In government, I am immensely proud to have been the Education Secretary who piloted free school meals for P1 to P3s and scrapped the unfair graduate endowment fee, delivering free university tuition. As Transport Secretary, I have delivered free bus travel for under 22s and ensured that peak fare rails are gone for good. I have also been lucky enough to champion Scotland all over the world, establishing Scotland's international network in Dublin, Paris, Ottawa and Berlin. But the heart of this job is in the constituency casework I do. From helping individuals or families in crisis to supporting local projects, from helping businesses access essential support to connecting communities and celebrating their achievements. People make a place great, and it has been the honour of my life to support you. None of this would have been possible without my small but fantastic team, past and present, who have supported me personally and professionally over the last 27 years. Their hard work and dedication has helped me help the constituents I was elected to represent, and I thank them wholeheartedly. I will continue in my role as an MSP until April the 8th, and as I have been an activist for the SNP and independence most of my life, I will continue to be an activist, and I remain passionate about securing a better future for Scotland. They say a week is a long time in politics, but also that change takes persistence. And I am grateful to those who have continued to invest their faith and support in me for the last 2.5 decades, and allow me to play a part in shaping that change, in developing policies and campaigns that have had a significant impact on the everyday lives of local people. And there's one or two lovely photographs of Fiona. One very splendid when she's the chieftain at the Highland Game. Beautiful red tartan jacket and a very nice hat. And there's another one over. Also, she looks as if she's just visiting the Highland Games because she's got a blue tartan outfit on. Lovely.
Plug won't be pulled on pool. Consultation to begin on the future of the Armadale swimming pool. And this is an article by Stuart Somerville. The plug will not be pulled on Armadale swimming pool during the 8-week consultation on its future, West Lothian Council confirmed this week. Labour's Susan Mannion, a local councillor for Armadale, asked the Chief Executive to defer the drain down until after the consultation. The move came after a heated meeting in Armadale on Thursday evening, where more than 100 people demanded the pool should be saved. And despite unanimous agreement to drain the pool at the Executive on 3rd of March, the Council faces complex and time-consuming rules for emptying public swimming pools. As the Holyrood election campaign gears up, the swimming pool, shuttered and out of use for 2.5 years, has become a live issue and a political football. Before the Council can shut the pool, it needs to obtain detailed consents from agencies such as Scottish Environment Protection Agency, SEPA, and officers will need to provide detailed plans on chemical neutralisation, high-capacity pumping, and adhere to strict regulations on water disposal. Following Thursday night's meeting, both Labour and SNP drew up motions to present to the full meeting of West Lothian Council on Tuesday morning. Councillor Mannion did not table her motion, fearing that it would not be accepted under standing orders because a decision to press ahead with the community consultation and the drain down of the pool had been taken unanimously on 3rd of March. The SNP did try to table its motion, but not at the start of the meeting. Opposition group leader Councillor Janet Campbell accused the Provost of Labour's Cathy Muldoon of blocking the motion. Councillor Campbell told the local Democracy Reporting Service, "I'm very disappointed that the Provost used procedure to disallow this motion." The Council issued a pointed rebuttal telling the LDRS the Provost, as a chair of the meeting, did not have any authority to allow an urgent item after the meeting had progressed. Armadale Community Council found itself at the heart of the political row last week when more than 100 people turned up, forcing the meeting into a larger space in the town's partnership building. In a letter to the Community Council issued on Tuesday afternoon, Councillor Mannion said, "As asked at the Community Council meeting last week, I drafted an emergency motion to full Council asking that the decision to drain Armadale swimming pool previously taken at the Council Executive is reversed. I have just been advised by the Governance Manager for the Council that it is unlikely that my motion will be considered urgent, so it will not be heard at full Council. If that's the case, the motion will not be considered until the next meeting of the Council in 2 months' time. It also means the decision stands. That would just delay everything. I know that's not what the meeting would want. As a result of this, I asked the Chief Executive of the Council to defer the decision and not drain the pool until at least well after the consultation period, which will be extended if required, to ensure all options are fully considered. There was confusion during the Tuesday morning meeting when the SNP group tried to raise its own motion. It was ruled that the party's motion could not be introduced. Councillor Linda Kenna's motion has stated, Council's notes the strength of opinion and agrees the suspension of the swimming pool drainage and instructs officers to consult with the community. Councillor Kenna shouted her objections to the ruling. After the meeting, Councillor Campbell told the Local Democracy Reporting Service, I'm very disappointed that the province used procedure to disallow this. A packed Community Council meeting last week saw approximately 150 people attend. We heard claims that the decision to begin an 8-week consultation has not been well advertised. Responding to Councillor Campbell, a West Lothian Council spokesperson said, it is not correct to say that the province prevented an urgent item being considered while chairing the meeting of West Lothian Council on March 17th. Standing Order 7 of the Council's Standing Orders for the Regulation of Meetings state that urgent items must be raised at the start of the meeting when the order of business is decided. Councillors who have urgent items for consideration must make sure they are raised under the item of business. No urgent items of business were made known. If an urgent item is not appropriately raised, then standing orders make it clear that it is not then permitted to be considered once the meeting is underway. The Provost, as chair of the meeting, did not have any authority to allow an urgent item to be added to the order of business after the meeting had progressed beyond the agenda item. A petition of 2,000 signatures to save the pool has now been collected since the start of March. The difficulty will lie in translating that apparent support into a workable plan, along with volunteers to take on the running of the facility. The initial decision to launch an 8-week consultation and drain the pool was taken at the Council's executive meeting on March 3rd, and the decision was unanimous. And it shows a very sad picture of the shutters being down at the Armadale pool. So we hope that the community will rally round and reverse this decision.
Father and son will not stop search for lost dog. Family's Springer Spaniel was swept away in River Amond. This is a story by Isla Story. A father and son have been left heartbroken after their dog was swept away in a fast-moving river, but the pair are continuing their determined search following a potential sighting. Stevie Ross, 66, was out walking Ollie at Mill Farm in Livingston on Saturday, March 14th, when he suddenly slipped down an embankment and into the high water of the River Amond. The 15-year-old Springer Spaniel is completely deaf, has a weak back leg and is showing signs of early onset dementia. And nearly a week later, the dad is fearing the worst. Stevie and son Corey, 24, have been out daily looking for him, and the pair have even bought a drone to search further afield. Stevie told Edinburgh Live he fell down an embankment into the water, which was quite high. Because he's 15 now and got a weak back leg, he's not the strongest swimmer. I couldn't get to him because of all the foliage and trees, and he just disappeared in seconds. I'm devastated because he's my best friend. He gets all my problems. I tell him when I come home at night what I've been doing and talk to him constantly. Him and Corey are also inseparable. We've had him since Corey was 10, so he's absolutely heartbroken as well. The pair have had support from Muzzle Mutts, a volunteer search crew for lost dogs, who arranged for a tracker dog, drones and thermal imaging cameras to search areas around the river, which eventually runs into the Firth of Forth at Cramond. Stevie added, our feeling is he's possibly got out of the river and he's wandering about goodness knows where. We've been up and down the river in the water with waders. We need to find him. I've got to the point now that even if I find his wee body, at least I've had some closure, but I'm hoping that's not the case. We're not giving up. We had a sighting near Blackburn, so we've been out there. We had another one as well, not long after he went in, and we're fairly sure it was him, but we couldn't find him. Ollie is described as a black and white Springer Spaniel. He was wearing a black harness with white reflective strips and a label reading security. Stevie has warned people not to approach him in case he becomes frightened, instead advising people to contact the Hazel Muzzle Mutts page via Facebook. And there's a picture of Stevie with Ollie the Spaniel.
Permission for new school is given the go-ahead, and another article by Rose Thompson. Planning permission has officially been granted for the construction of the new Craigs Hill Primary in Livingston. This marks a key milestone in the programme for the delivery of the new state-of-the-art school on the former site of Riverside Primary. With planning permission now issued, work is anticipated to commence on the site next month. The whole construction process is expected to take around 15 months, with the new school open for the start of the August 2027 term. The planned new 3-storey primary school with a sloped roof will bring both the current Letham and Riverside schools together. It will have a capacity for 462 primary pupils, as well as integrated early years facility, external play spaces, landscaping and car park. The new £25 million school is partly funded by the Council and the Scottish Government based on the Learning Estate Investment Programme outcomes-based funding model. The capital funding is £10.996 million being provided from the Scottish Government. That equates to 43% of the total revised cost of £25.8 million. David Baird, Property Services Manager, told a meeting of West Lothian Council's executive back in February that costs had risen by £1.8 million following initial estimates because of the costs of asbestos and RAC panel removal in the demolition of the Riverside Primary building and ground conditions on the site where the new school will be built. Mr. Baird stressed the new price tag of £25.8 million was fixed and would remain so unless the council itself decided to change the specification of the building. Building work will start in April and is expected to take around 15 months. Local councillor Damien Doran-Timpson told the meeting, "I welcome this step forward to get this new primary school moving. It will be long overdue." The new school was delayed for around a year before agreement was reached with the National Investment Programme. Riverside was closed and the children decanted after it was one of the first schools found with RAC roof panels. Executive Councillor for Education Andrew Maguire said, "I'm delighted that the delivery of the Craigs Hill Primary took an important step forward. With construction starting in April, it will allow us to have a new school ready and open in time for the start of the 27-28 school term. I'm confident that a superb new Craigs Hill Primary will be a huge asset to the local community for many years to come."
MP Poynton blasts disorder at jail and calls out Constance, and this is another article by Ross Thompson. Livingston constituency MP Gregor Poynton has written to Justice Secretary Angela Constance MSP demanding urgent answers following reports of serious disorder at HMP Addywell. The intervention comes after footage emerged appearing to show prisoners openly using drugs, drinking homemade alcohol and filming content on mobile phones inside the West Lothian prison. Mr. Poynton said the reports raised serious questions about safety, control and leadership within Scotland's prison system. He said, "These reports are deeply concerning and will alarm people across the Livingston constituency, West Lothian and Scotland. The idea that prisoners can openly film, take drugs and share footage from inside a prison points to a clear breakdown in control. This isn't just about discipline, it's about the safety of staff and prisoners and whether rehabilitation is even possible in these conditions." Mr Poynton has written directly to Angela Constance MSP in her role as Justice Secretary, pressing for immediate action and asking what steps are being taken to restore order at Addiewell. He added, Angela Constance is not only the Justice Secretary, she is also the local MSP, so there can be no passing the buck. People will rightly ask how the situation has been allowed to develop on her watch and what she is now doing to fix it. Scotland's prisons must be places of control, safety and rehabilitation, not chaos. Mr Poynton has requested urgent clarification on what action the Scottish Government and Scottish Prison Service are taking in response to the reports, including whether an inspection or intervention will now take place. In response, Justice Secretary and Amman Valley MSP Angela Constance said, I'm deeply concerned by the images circulating online, seemingly showing prisoners at HMP Addiewell taking drugs and drinking. This kind of behaviour is completely unacceptable. We continue to work with the Scottish Prison Service and other partners to ensure privately operated HMP Addiewell operates as a safe and secure prison, delivering positive outcomes for those in custody and for the wider community. It has been the Scottish Government policy since 2007 that prisons should be owned and managed by the public sector, and HMP Kilmarnock was brought into the public management in March 2024 when the private sector contract expired.
On the Beat, an article with Chief Superintendent Greg Banks. Officers rewarded for work for their bravery and commitment. As Commander, I was delighted to attend Police Scotland's Force Excellence Awards, hosted by our Chief Constable Joe Farrell, where a number of our local policing team were awarded for their bravery and commitment while serving the public. Amongst those being recognised was Livingston Community Officer PC Scott McCulloch, who won Police Officer of the Year for his commitment to tackling domestic abuse through educating our children and young people. Over the last year, PC McCulloch has designed and delivered, in partnership with West Lothian Council's Domestic and Sexual Assault team, a hard-hitting domestic abuse presentation to teach our young people about healthy relationships and how to seek support if they or anyone they know is experiencing domestic abuse. PC McCulloch has delivered this to all S4 pupils across West Lothian and has supported our wider community and school link officers to deliver this presentation to schools throughout the wider Lothians and Scottish Borders area. This week we will also be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Supporting Opportunities for Life project, or SOL. SOL is a 2-year funded initiative between Police Scotland and the charity Aid and Abet, working together to support young people in West Lothian aged 10 to 25 in making meaningful, positive changes in their lives. We focus on those who are at risk of offending or who are already involved in offending behaviour and take a preventative and supportive approach, providing opportunities and guidance that can inspire real change. Our team is made up of 2 police officers and 2 peer mentors who all have lived experience. The SOL team are currently working with 16 young people, and I am heartened to hear of the impact the team are making in supporting these young people towards positive destinations, including education and training. From my perspective as a police officer, tackling antisocial behaviour and domestic abuse requires a holistic approach that balances enforcement with education and strong community partnerships. By building trust with young people and their families, we aim to break cycles of harm and create safer neighbourhoods. Continued investment in youth engagement and support networks is vital if we are to address the root causes of these issues and secure a brighter future for West Lothian's young residents. Sticking on the subject of safeguarding youths from harm, I want to finish this week's column with a reminder of the very real risks that exist in the online realm, particularly for young people when it comes to sexual exploitation of young people and abuse. Being online is a daily occurrence for most young people, and while it is a great way of staying in touch with friends, researching homework, and connecting themselves with the rest of the world, there are risks associated with that type of interaction, and that can be had in this sphere. For example, the taking and sharing of intimate or indecent images can do untold harm to those involved, and we treat these matters with the utmost seriousness. If you or a young person in your care has been asked to share such images, then please contact us immediately. We have lots of useful advice on our website aimed at keeping youth safe online. This can be found by visiting www.scotland.police.uk.
Police probe as masked gangs raid 2 homes, and an article by Stephen Bark. 2 homes in Livingston have been raided by masked gangs who made off with jewellery and cash. Homeowners were left terrified after the raids took place earlier in the month. On Wednesday, March the 11th, 3 men dressed in dark clothing were seen leaving a property on Buchanan Crescent after someone had forced entry to the home at around 9:15 p.m. Several items were stolen from the house, including jewellery. 3 days later, on March the 14th, 3 men forced entry to another property on Valentine Place. They made off with a safe which contained jewellery and a 5-figure sum of cash. Police are said to be keeping an open mind about whether the incidents are linked and have appealed for anyone who may have seen anything, particularly those with private CCTV, doorbell or dash cam footage which may have captured something, to come forward. The 3 suspects were all described as around 6 feet tall. One was wearing a black baseball hat, gloves, tracksuit bottoms, a jacket, trainers and a grey snood. A second was seen wearing a black beanie, grey snood, dark green jacket, khaki tracksuit bottoms, black and white trainers and neon yellow and black gloves, while the third had on a grey snood, white button-down shirt, grey gloves and tracksuit bottoms and black trainers. Detective Constable Daniel McLaughlin asked for anyone with information to come forward. He said, "We are keeping an open mind about whether these incidents are linked, and our inquiries are ongoing to trace those responsible. I would ask that anyone who was in the area at the time of either incident and saw anything suspicious contact the police." Again, appealing to those with private CCTV, doorbell or dash cam footage to please review it to see if it has captured anything which could assist with our investigation. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, "Detectives are appealing for information following a series of housebreakings in Livingston. Around 9:15 on Wednesday, March 11th, entry was forced to a property on Buchanan Crescent. A number of items are believed to have been stolen, including jewellery, and 3 men were seen leaving the locus, all dressed in dark clothing. Around 11 a.m. on Saturday, March the 14th, entry was forced to another property in Valentine Place by 3 men. A safe was stolen and a jewellery worth a 5-figure sum within. The first suspect is described as around 6 feet tall, medium build, and was wearing a black baseball hat, gloves, tracksuit bottoms, jacket, trainers and a grey snood. The second suspect is described as around 6 feet tall, of medium build, and was wearing a black beanie, grey snood, dark green jacket, khaki tracksuit bottoms, black and white trainers and neon yellow and black gloves. The third suspect is described as 6 feet tall, of heavy build and wearing a grey snood, white button-down shirt, grey gloves and tracksuit bottoms and black trainers. Anyone with information is asked to contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 0297 of March the 12th or 1432 of March the 14th. Alternatively, information can be passed anonymously to Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Police have not said whether the incident may be linked to the ram raid incident at the Almondvale Shopping Centre in Livingston in the early hours of Tuesday, March the 17th. 4 masked men used a car to gain entry to the shopping centre, crashing through 2 sets of glass doors before setting the car alight and making off with a quantity of stolen goods. And we're going to take a wee break now and for the intimations.
Davidson, Agnes, Nessie, East Calder. Bobby and family would like to thank all family, friends and neighbours for their kind messages of condolence during the recent loss of his beloved wife Nessie. Special thanks to all medical professionals at East Calder Medical Practice and Ward 21 at St John's Hospital. Thanks to those who attended Nessie's funeral and for all the support shown to the family at this sad time. Nessie will be sadly missed by all who knew and loved her.
McCrory Jane, 21st of August 1953 to 12th of March 2026. Passed out peacefully at home after a long illness. Beloved wife to Colin and dearly loved mum to Stephen, Sharon and Colin. Much loved grand to all her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. The service funeral will be held on Tuesday the 7th of April at 3:30 p.m. at West Lothian Crematorium, to which all are respectfully welcome to attend. There will be a donation taken at the service in aid of Acredale House.
And now into the news.
Chilling headlines from an article by Sarah Hind. Serial attacker with psychopathic traits. He'll seek revenge. Victim's terror as brutal rapist bids for freedom after 5 years in jail. A victim of a psychopathic serial rapist who was handed a life sentence fears he will seek revenge as he makes a bid for freedom after just 5 years. Alan Rochford, 39, of West Lothian, was found to show a range of psychopathic traits after he raped and sexually assaulted 4 women. He terrorised one former partner by posing as an internet blackmailer to trick her into performing depraved and humiliating sex acts with him. The brute was convicted of 12 charges at trial, including 6 rape offences, 2 indecent assaults and a further 2 sexual assaults. He was caged for a minimum of 7 years. Now one victim, who believed Rochford would kill her, says she is braced for his first attempt at parole this week, despite her abuser being hit with an order for lifelong restriction. The victim, who is asked to be identified as Lucy, said, "If he does get parole, there is a very real danger, not just to myself, but to others involved. Part of the orders against him is that he can never contact us, but, knowing him the way I do, it's just a piece of paper as far as he's concerned. He is incredibly devious, and whatever possible way he could try to find to break that, he would. What comes into my mind is the years he had in there to fester all on this. The judge called him extraordinarily cruel and said he displayed psychopathic traits. He has absolutely no capacity for empathy and remorse. That makes me think he is sitting in there festering and planning, thinking how he can get back at all of us. When it came to the case, I was the straw that broke the camel's back, so that's why I'm worried he'll have a vendetta against me. His custodial sentence wasn't anywhere near enough. 4 people suffered a campaign of horror spread over a decade. That's just the 4 people we know about. There could be plenty more out there who had experiences of him and didn't feel they could come forward. Rochford committed his vile crimes in Edinburgh, West Lothian, Stirling and Ayrshire between 2009 and 2019. He was found guilty at the High Court in Glasgow of 4 counts between 2018 and 2019 of raping Lucy, plus forced penetration with an object. Rochford was also found guilty of 2 charges of extorting graphic images of women by threatening to expose intimate pictures online. The record previously told how in 2017, under the guise of an anonymous blackmailer, Rochford also threatened Jane, her name's been changed, telling her he would put graphic pictures of her online unless she sent him images of herself performing depraved sexual acts. Playing the extortionist, Rochford used a bogus Facebook profile to bombard Jane with more than 6,000 messages coercing her into fulfilling his sordid rape fantasies. Detective Inspector Stephen McMillan and Detective Constable Audrey Morrison also uncovered 2 previous victims. Rochford had preyed on a woman in Bonnyrigg, Mid Lothian between 2009 and 2011. He was convicted of raping her, indecently assaulting her with a bottle and filming a violent oral sex section. Rochford abused women in Edinburgh over a 3-year period from 2013. At sentencing in 2021, one psychiatric risk assessment described him as having no inhibitions to harming others. Another said he had a narcissistic personality disorder. Rochford was also given a sexual offences prevention order banning him from contacting his victims or accessing any images of them. The Parole Board for Scotland said it does not comment on individual cases, and there is a chilling picture of this horrible man and an inset picture of the detective who obviously tried to help to convict him.
Beast of Bog Hall removed from home by cops. An article by John Paul Clark. A grandfather dubbed the Beast of Bog Hall was removed from his house by cops after protesters turned up outside his house following his conviction for abusing young girls. James Neal, 82, was found guilty of abusing 5 schoolgirls at Livingston Sheriff Court on Tuesday, March 17th. He targeted the children at his home in Elizabeth Drive, Bog Hall, while they were in his care between May 12, 1977 and May 24, 2023. The predator was bailed after Sheriff Jane Farquharson KC deferred sentence until April 30th to allow for a criminal justice social work report to be completed. Furious protesters turned up outside his house after finding out Neil had been released back into the community. Footage shows a member of the group confronting him at the door of his house, with the beast seen brandishing a weapon. Police were called and entered the property before leading Neil into the back of a van. As he gets in the vehicle, a man calls him a nonce, while another man joins in and can be heard telling him to hang his head in shame and calling him a dirty monster. Neil's last offence, committed in May 23, resulted in him being charged with engaging in sexual activity with one of the girls when she was 13 to 15 years old. The court heard how Neil used lewd, indecent and libidinous behaviour against 3 of his victims and sexually assaulted one of them. These girls were all aged between 5 and 12 when he attacked them. After Neil pleaded not guilty, the victims bravely gave evidence in court and described the catalogue of abuse he subjected them to. Police Scotland has been approached for comment. And there's a photograph which looks like it's been taken from a video still of the individual being led away in the back of a police van.
Hotel wins permission for signage, an article by Stuart Somerville. A Linlithgow Hotel has won planning permission for discreet signage in the heart of the ancient borough. Local councillor, Labour veteran Tom Conn questioned planners' rejection of signs on the Linen Bank residence, a hotel which sits opposite the borough halls, and backed a proposal by the SNP's Willie Boyle that the proposed 1.4 metre signs be reduced in size and repositioned. Listed building and advertising consent was granted. The copper plate signs will replace banners which have advertised the business housed in the former British Linen Bank at 89 to 91 High Street, a Victorian block in the centre of the town. More recently, the building was used as council offices. Papers presented to the Development Management Committee said the building at present operates as a hotel with 18 studio rooms with en-suites and occupies a prominent position within the High Street, directly opposite the Linlithgow Borough Halls and the Cross. The building's visibility is further emphasised by the demolition of the previous bus depot to the east and the set-back positioning of the flats at Templars Court. Planning Officer Gillian Syphus told the meeting the signage, by virtue of its scale, positioning and design, is not in keeping with other signage found on properties along the High Street, and the works do not integrate with the traditional appearance of the listed building. Internal illumination is contemporary and does not reflect the character of this historic building. She added, the works detract from the appearance and character of the listed building itself and the wider conservation area. Councillor Conn pointed to the fact that as a former bank it had carried signage and the remnants of the original signs were retained on the building. He also pointed to other buildings in the High Street which had much more garish advertising, including bright colours and neon, some permitted and some not. Mrs. Cyphus agreed that the proposals were not among the worst, but added that it was important to reinforce planning laws and appearances on listed buildings. Chair of the meeting, Councillor Harry Cartmel, described the building as the third easiest to find in Linlithgow after the former county buildings and the borough halls, and wondered why it needed to have signs. It's one of the most prominent buildings in Linlithgow. Nowadays we book online and we see a picture of the building. Arguably, outside county buildings and the borough halls might be the easiest building to find in Linlithgow, so I'm struggling a wee bit as to why you want this sign so much. Do you think it might improve the building? An agent for the hotel said it was commercially important and gave credibility to the business and was vital. He pointed out that many guests would not know the town. Some guests would be from abroad, would hire cars and not have experience of driving on the wrong side of the road. Councillor Willie Boyle said he agreed with the proposals but suggested reducing the size to about 1 metre square instead of 1.4 metres. I wouldn't have told you it was a hotel, he told the meeting. I can understand why they would draw attention to the business. The warning sign in one of the pictures stands out far more in the existing colours. He described the sign, which features a flax plant, the sign of the former British Linen Bank, as a symbol rather than advertising. Fellow SNP councillor Pauline Clark disagreed. Pointing to the beauty of the architecture of the building, she said the signage was not necessary. Sometimes less is more, she said. Councillor Cartmel agreed. He moved to refuse planning permission. Councillor Conn argued that the building may be well known to locals, but few visitors would recognise that it is now the Tamdale Ale House, the town's council's partnership centre, used to be known as County Buildings. He moved to grant planning permission, which won a vote.
And a piece of good news. Town crowned best in Scotland in a new guide, and this is by the staff reporter. A historic West Lothian town has been named as Scotland's best town to live. Linlithgow has emerged as the top choice in the 2026 Sunday Times Best Places to Live guide. The town is perhaps best known for the ruins of Linlithgow Palace, where Mary Queen of Scots was born. Judges praised it as a family-friendly hotspot that's the perfect spot for commuters to Edinburgh or Glasgow who want clean air and a village mentality. Describing it as a central belter, the Sunday Times said residents can't get enough of the medieval high street, outstanding schools and the great outdoors. The judges added, it's the kind of town where the lollipop men know everyone's names and have treats for the dogs, and competition is fierce in the famous annual cardboard boat race down the pretty Union Canal. Non-commuters have all the more time to enjoy the 188 shared interest groups, community-owned ski slope, theatre productions and jazz concerts, or get involved in the Community Development Trust. Linlithgow was one of 7 Scottish places to make the Sunday Times list. Helen Davis, editorial projects director and Best Places to Live editor, said, "This guide is a great opportunity to highlight the best places in Britain. It is full of places that show that our village, town and city centres can still be full of life, as well as places bursting with natural beauty, culture, connectivity and, most importantly, a sense of community." Our expert team of judges visit every location on the list and talk to the locals to find out what they love about the place they live. These judges have travelled the length and breadth of the UK, from the Scottish Highlands to the Cornish coast, selecting the top towns and villages, suburbs and cities for the 2026 guide. One thing all our chosen locations have in common is that the people who live in them are proud to call them their home. Norwich was named the UK's best place to live in the annual Sunday Times guide, and there's a lovely picture of Linlithgow High Street in this article.
And now we're going to take a break. The second part of the recording will start soon after that. And now we'll start section 2, which has some main news articles, some articles from the West Lothian Bulletin, and also some sports news.
This is a feature called Club of the Week, and it features the Toccata Ladies Choir. This week's Club of the Week is Toccata Ladies Choir. We caught up with Sally Ross from the choir to find out more about the group and its members. Tell us some background information on your club. Toccata Ladies Choir has been a prominent part of West Lothian's culture scene since 1978, performing annual concerts each May across the region. The choir has around 40 members of varied ages and abilities, united by their passion for singing. Now led by musical director Claire Christie, an RSAMD graduate who succeeded Eleanor Howitt, who retired in 2022, the choir performs a wide-ranging repertoire including classical, jazz, pop and musical theatre, both accompanied and a cappella. We have sung in multiple languages and travelled widely across Scotland, also competing successfully at UK choral festivals. Achievements include awards in Bangor 2014, multiple wins at the Glasgow Music Festival, and the Glasgow Orpheus Choir Trophy Certificate in 2016, 2018 and 2025. Most recently in March, the choir won the Perth Music Festival choral class and also participated in the non-competitive choral section of the Fife Music Festival in both 2025 and 2026. On what days do your club or group meet, and where and how much does it cost? If you enjoy singing, Toccata Ladies Choir may be the perfect group for you. We rehearse on Tuesday evenings from 7:15pm to 9:15pm in August to May in Carmondine. Membership fees are currently £90 per year with the option to pay in instalments. What is the most satisfying part of the club or group? Singing with Toccata is incredibly rewarding. We take pride in learning challenging pieces and performing them to a high standard, including achieving success in competitions. Are there any difficulties or challenges facing the club? Like many groups, we face challenges such as rising costs and difficulty securing funding, but our commitment to high-quality performance remains strong. What is next for the club or group, and do you have any upcoming events? We have 2 upcoming concerts on May the 8th and 9th. On May the 8th, the concert is being held at 7:30pm in Uphall South Parish Church. On May 9th, we will be singing in the West Kirk of Calder, West Calder, starting at 7:30pm. Tickets cost £12 for adults and £6 for under 16s. They will be available on the door or from choir members. If anyone wishes to join your club or group, how do they do it? Ladies aged 18 and over who are interested in joining are invited to attend an audition. Please don't worry, being able to read music is not essential. Our next audition date is scheduled for August 18th. And there's a few photos of the choir and various pictures. There is one where they are seen practising and they've been working hard during rehearsals ahead of their upcoming concerts. And there's photos of them with their choir books and the gentleman accompanying them on the piano. And there's a larger photograph of them with blue blouses on and look like they're in a church somewhere preparing for a performance.
As generation of allotment sites are delayed by fly tippers, an article by Stuart Somerville. Plans to regenerate former allotments in Bridgend have been delayed by fly tipping and ongoing police and environmental investigations into illegal activities on the site. The villagers were promised plans in December 2023 to create new woodland and an open green space in Old Hill Road. The disused allotments showed signs of irregular occupation. Neatly kept pigeon lofts quickly gave way to the threatening disorder of a no-go area as you climbed Old Hill Road. There was a sullen silence to the landscape and casual visitors were discouraged. Livestock was held in makeshift pens and fires smouldered constantly. The area was littered with fly tipping. Crude fencing kept people out. It was a very different place to what was promised at the signing of the lease. A composite motion was agreed by West Lothian Council on Tuesday, March 17th, and revealed a number of complaints had been received regarding waste dumping, burning of waste on site, and reports of vehicles arriving to dump. The fire service has conducted numerous visits from October 2024 onwards, and police were called in to support the fire queues because of the threatening behaviour by illegal occupants of the former allotments. In November 2024, West Lothian Council reported illegal waste activities to SEPA and Police Scotland. SEPA advised that because of the significant contraventions or continued issues of serious non-compliance with relation to waste on the site, they would serve a statutory notice to Rosebery Estates as landowner. This means that the council, as the responsible tenant of the site, requires both parties to resolve the matter. In December last year, following the serving of several court writs to unauthorised occupants of the site, a coordinated eviction took place involving specialist police resources and a sheriff officer alongside cross-service involvement from NETS, roads, environmental health and trading standards. The composite motion added, this month officers and NETs are preparing a project brief and tender documentation to appoint specialist consultants to undertake the site investigation works. The site investigation works will determine the next steps to be taken by officers in relation to the site. Similarly, any developments of the ground as open space and woodland will likely require land remediation and require to be subject to an options appraisal. The composite motion was drawn up jointly by local councillors Tom Conn and Pauline Orr. The site's across the road from the village primary school. Councillor Orr had originally planned to raise a motion highlighting, since the land was cleared, no further works have been carried out, and villagers are asking if it's actually going to happen. The village is a deprived area and will benefit significantly from having this available to them. Councillor Conn told the meeting of the council that delays had been down to circumstances beyond the council's control. Much of the work that had been done in recent years had been carried out on a confidential basis involving police and other national agencies. The motion concluded, Council instructs the Chief Executive to bring forward a report and recommendations on the outcomes of the site investigations and the options for site remedial works to the Environment and Sustainability PDSP and ensure officers engage with the community through the Green Action Trust. At the same time as the site investigations are ongoing, on options for how a community woodland would enhance the entrance to the village and the general environment of the village, depending on the outcomes of site investigations.
Shocking state of kittens found at rural property, and this is an article by Ross Thompson. A West Lothian man has been fined £730 plus a victim surcharge and has been banned from dealing in animals for 8 months. Clayton Hopwood of Winchborough appeared at Livingston Sheriff Court on Thursday, March 12th. His mother, Deborah Hopwood, also of Winchborough, was admonished. The pair pleaded guilty to failing to meet the needs of 12 cats. Clayton also pleaded guilty to breeding kittens without the required licence. On October 18, 2024, the Scottish SPCA Animal Helpline received a call regarding the welfare of kittens at a rural property near Winchborough. The call came from a buyer who had purchased a kitten from Clayton Hopwood. All of the kittens they saw at the property appeared to have diarrhoea and smelled strongly of faeces. It became apparent hours after taking the kitten home that it was unwell and it was taken to a vet for assessment. The online advert on the Vet for Pets website had described the kittens as 15 weeks old, but the vet felt it was closer to 5 weeks old. The kitten was found to be malnourished, dehydrated, and had a body condition score of 1/5, indicating a severe lack of food or significant underlying disease. A Scottish SPCA inspector made a number of visits to the Hopwoods home, requesting contact be made to discuss the matter. When Clayton Hopwood replied, he advised that he and his mother had bred 3 litters of kittens that year. He added that it was mostly a hobby for them and that their business was called Glendevon Kittens. Hopwood agreed to a visit, and all remaining kittens were found to be healthy at this time. An animal welfare notice was issued advising Hopwood to ensure that no animal was sold when unwell and explaining the licensing and welfare requirements that breeders should meet, with any trader who breeds 3 or more kittens a year being required to register with their local council. The kitten that the concerned buyer had purchased sadly deteriorated in condition quickly, and despite efforts of the owners and the vet, had to be euthanised due to being so unwell. In May 2025, another call was made to the Scottish SPCA Animal Helpline by a potential buyer of kittens were being advertised by Clayton Hopwood. The buyer attended, and 4 kittens, again smelling strongly of urine and faeces. The Scottish SPCA attended with a West Lothian Council enforcement officer and were met by Deborah Hopwood. She showed them a small dog cage which was housing 1 adult cat and 2 kittens. The litter tray inside the cage was dirty and the water bowl was empty. After initially stating that there were no more cats at the house, the Scottish SPCA found 4 more adult cats and a further litter of ragdoll kittens in dark, unclean and poorly ventilated sheds and chicken coops with the detached property's spacious grounds. The smell of ammonia within the sheds was pungent, and there were no windows allowing the animals any natural light. Cats' eyes are well adapted for seeing in the dark, but it still does not justify long periods shut in the dark shed. The lack of ventilation leads to a build-up of unpleasant ammonia fumes from the soiled litter trays and would allow any respiratory pathogens to circulate easily between cats enclosed in the airspace. The space allocated to the number of cats in the shed was barely adequate. In total, 12 cats were discovered at the address, 4 of which were suffering from moderate to severe ear mite infections. All the cats were taken into the care of the Scottish SPCA and have since recovered and been rehomed. A Scottish SPCA inspector said, "I'm very disappointed with the sentencing in this case. The Hopwoods did not appear to lack the resources to provide their animals with a good quality of life, with ample land at their property to ensure the cats had sufficient space." This was a lucrative business, with the pedigree kittens being advertised for more than £1,000 each. It appeared that very little of this profit was being spent on the welfare or well-being of the cats. A complete ban on owning, keeping and breeding animals would have removed the potential for this to happen again. The Hopwoods could have bred cats to a much better welfare standard, but chose to keep them in dark, dirty sheds with no human interaction or even natural light. The Scottish SPCA is Scotland's only all-animal welfare charity, entirely separate from the RSPCA, which operates in England and Wales.
Fire in nearby field sparks fear among residents, a story by Isla Story. Residents of a sleepy West Lothian street were forced into action after a gang of youths reportedly started a fire in a field opposite their homes. The blaze at Tenants March, just outside West Calder, took hold at around 8 p.m. on March 18th. A local claims around 8 teens dressed all in black are said to have set alight grass next to a wooden fence bordering a lane running from the road into the village before fleeing and worrying sheep in another field. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service were called by a passing motorist. One local explained how he and his neighbour had to act quickly to control the flames before crews arrived. He told Edinburgh Live, "I was more worried about it spreading down the lane. It was grass that they had lit and it was travelling quickly along the fence line and causing further fire in the opposite hedge. It could easily have spread. The kids were also in fields at the back of my house, same ones, chasing and shouting at the sheep, which are all in lamb just now." Pictures from the scene show the flames roaring around wooden fence posts and the charred state of the grass on Thursday morning. Police Scotland have confirmed nobody was injured, but inquiries are underway. The resident also shared his concerns about other incidents involving youths in the village, including riding motorbikes and e-bikes in farmers' fields. He added, "I get it, young people do make mistakes, but they also need to be held responsible for their actions, and parents need to try their best to be aware of what their children are doing and not ignore concerning behaviour like this." A Scottish Fire and Rescue Service spokesperson said, We were alerted at 8:10 p.m. on Wednesday, March 18th, to reports of a fire in the open at Tennants March, West Calder, West Lothian. Operations Control mobilised one appliance to the scene. Firefighters extinguished a hedge fire. Crews left the scene at 8:24 p.m, once ensuring the area was made safe. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "We were made aware of a fire on Tennants March, West Calder, around 8 p.m. on Wednesday, March 18th. There were no reports of any injuries and inquiries are at an early stage."
Pothole repair improvements. Roads officers in West Lothian will look at ways to improve the reporting of their work on pothole repairs. Councillors agreed a composite motion on the back of the budget decision to £2 million in the next 2 years in a rolling programme of repairs to tackle the worst hit roads in the county. Councillor Pauline Orr, who tabled a composite motion with fellow Linlithgow councillor Tom Conn, said in her original motion that the spend was welcomed, but more communication was needed with the public. Her motion said, "Increased investment was agreed at budget on February the 24th, £1 million per annum over the next 2 years. The commitment shown is welcomed and we look forward to seeing how that investment is used. Leasing the appropriate equipment, recruiting additional staff to undertake works to permanently repair potholes and remedy road defects." She added that the council needed to improve public awareness about road diversions necessary to carry out repairs and the wider repair programme. The public also needs better awareness of the repair process, dependent on severity. The motion, which went before full council, urged officers to bring biannual reports on performance in respect of potholes and roads defects at a ward level to local area communities. There will also be a requirement to officers to bring biannual reports on performance in respect of potholes and road defects at a council level to the relevant PDSP. Agreed that enhanced reporting will provide transparency on the number of potholes reported and repaired and also the costs involved. Reporting should differentiate between temporary and permanent repairs. Councillor Conn suggested regular reports should be made by roads officers to meeting at ward level, essentially reporting directly to councillors on the local area committees of the work programmes underway.
New bin lorries take to the roads. 11 new bin lorries have joined your waste collection service. The new vehicles replace older lorries and help to make sure that all important household waste collection service can be delivered using safe, efficient and reliable vehicles for our frontline services, whilst also reducing maintenance costs and vehicle downtime. If you spot the new lorries, be sure to keep an eye out what their names are. Primary school pupils from across West Lothian were invited to help name the new lorries. There were 480 entries in total and from 32 different classes at 24 schools. The council's bin crews voted on their favourite names. Some of the competition winners made it along to Whitehill Service Centre and were joined by the Executive Councillor for Environment and Sustainability and staff from Waste Services. The pupils got a tour of the waste facilities and also got to see Binny Craig, named by Oren from Uphall Primary School. And there's a lovely picture of some pupils standing in front of Binny Craig with rather large high-vis vests on, but well done to primary schools once again.
Sinclair strike gold. West Lothian's newest secondary school has become the latest to achieve the sought-after Gold Rights Respecting School Award from UNICEF. Sinclair Academy in Winchborough have achieved the top accolade for their commitment to placing children's rights at the heart of their school ethos, culture and curriculum. The UNICEF report recognised a number of key strengths of the school, including confident, articulate pupils with excellent understanding of rights, relationships built on respect and trust, especially those with the neighbouring Winchborough Academy and Holy Family Primary, and the inclusive ethos where every child feels supported and a strong sense of belonging. Sinclair head teacher Anne-Marie Jess said, "This achievement impacts our whole school and community, promoting equality, inclusion and positive relationships that extend beyond the classroom. Thank you to our amazing pupils, staff and community for all their hard work and support to make this possible." And there's a lovely picture of some of the pupils with a sign saying "We got the gold" and some gold balloons and holding up a banner.
Some result for West Lothian School at National Maths Challenge. A top team of talented young people from the James Young High School have won the Silver Award at the prestigious Enterprising Maths in Scotland finals. Organised by the Scottish Mathematical Council, the fiercely contested competition saw the best young maths students from 52 schools across the state and private sector in Scotland come together after success in the regional heats. The James Young High School team of Parvana, Matthew, Jonathan and Maeve worked quickly and strategically to solve very challenging mathematical problems to secure the second place finish. They were only narrowly pipped to the top position by the Stuart Melville College in Edinburgh and finishing ahead of St Leonard's School in St Andrews and Edinburgh's Fettes College. The James Young High School head teacher Tricia Gallagher said, "This is outstanding achievement reflects the hard work and dedication of our pupils and staff. This is the very first time our team has made the finals, so for Parvana, Matthew, Jonathan and Maeve to confidently face seasoned competitors such as those from the top performing private schools in Scotland to claim second place is phenomenal. Aspiration and success are two of our key school values, and our young people are inspiring examples of this in action."
And continuing on this theme of how great our young people are, West Lothian team raced to top prize at STEM Racing Challenge. A talented team of Linlithgow Academy pupils have brought silverware back from the Armco STEM Racing World Finals 2025 in Singapore. Vega Racing by Alan Steele Asset Management firm ASAM is made up of Kirsty, Evie, Clara and Joseph, and were awarded the Team Identity Trophy at the awards, which saw 84 teams from 36 countries take part. Formerly known as F1 in schools, the STEM racing competition challenges students to form their own Formula One team and design, build and test a race at 15 centimetre scale model car of the future powered by compressed gas. At the World Finals, team present their cars, pit displays, portfolios and verbal presentations to judges, with races taking part on a 20-metre track where cars cover the distance in just over a second. Across the 5 days of competition, Vega Racing were on track racing 4 times against teams from around the globe. They also spent time in the F1 pit plane and paddock for the Singapore Grand Prix, as well as presenting their engineering enterprise and project, management folios and a verbal presentation.
Strengths highlighted at Harry's Muir. A number of strengths were highlighted by education inspectors during a recent visit to Harry's Muir Primary School in Livingston. Education Scotland marked the school as good across 3 quality indicators: leadership of change and learning, teaching and assessment, and ensuring well-being, equality and inclusion. The school was evaluated as satisfactory for the final quality indicator, raising attainment and achievement. The inspection team found the following strengths in the school's work. The head teacher's strong leadership has helped the staff team to create a positive and caring school where children's rights are at the heart of everything. Children, staff and parents feel valued and included as part of the school community. With strong guidance from the leadership team, staff have worked together well to improve writing across the school. This has led to clear progress with children achieving better results in writing. Children demonstrate the school values very well. They are inclusive and respectful in their relationships with each other and staff and engage well in their learning activities. The staff's strong focus on improving well-being is making a positive difference for children and families across the school community.
Diana helping more people, an article by Ross Thompson. People living with glaucoma in West Lothian can now access support within the community rather than travel to hospital after a Linlithgow-based optician was selected to deliver the scheme. Store Director Diana Kelly at Specsavers Linlithgow is one of just a handful of opticians across the country who have successfully completed an SQA qualification in glaucoma management and is able to monitor people with lower risk glaucoma or ocular hypertension directly in store. This new service enables Diana to provide enhanced glaucoma care within the community, meaning customers can receive more of their monitoring and management closer to home without the need to visit hospital. She is able to carry out advanced assessments, which means greater convenience for people living with glaucoma in the community. Diana said, "We are thrilled to be able to offer this convenient and groundbreaking eye care service to customers living with glaucoma within our community. We've worked really hard to be able to deliver this fantastic service to our community, helping to provide a hospital-level care to people in Linlithgow and beyond, reducing pressures on local hospital services and providing customers with a faster and easier way to access treatments and checkups. If you are under the care of the glaucoma service and receive a discharge letter, please sign the registration form and hand it into the practice as soon as possible so that we can take over your care."
New walk-in GP service welcomed by MSP. This is an article by Ross Thompson. A walk-in GP service in Livingston and expansion childcare and help for first-time buyers has been warmly welcomed by Angela Constance, MSP. First Minister John Swinney confirmed the new walk-in GP centres will open across Scotland, including one in Livingston. The centres will be open 7 days a week, helping people access primary care more easily and easing pressure on local GPs' practices. The First Minister also announced plans to expand childcare from 9 months old through to the end of primary school, ensuring that services support working parents and their children. Mr Swinney also pledged support for up to £10,000 towards a deposit to help first-time buyers purchase their first home. This investment and expansion in public services will support the growing West Lothian population and builds on the clear commitments to deliver a new health centre for East Calder. Amman Valley MSP Angela said, "The first announcements made by the First Minister will bring real benefits to people of all ages as well as families across West Lothian. A new walk-in GP centre in Livingston will make it easier for people to see a doctor without the stress of the 8 a.m. rush. This is in addition to a clear commitment to deliver a new health centre for East Calder. Expanding childcare to include primary school children and helping first-time home buyers will also make a real difference for families trying to balance work, childcare and the rising cost of living. These are practical measures that will strengthen local services and support our growing communities, helping those struggling to buy a home of their own, providing more support for working parents and improving access to healthcare are examples of the SNP delivering on the people's priorities."
Break-in incidents, an article by Cara Blackhall. West Lothian police are investigating a series of break-in incidents on Friday, March the 13th. Officers believe the acts were linked and were carried out by the same individuals. The first incident took place between 7:30pm and 8pm when a male tried to force a window open to gain access to a house in Haymarket Crescent. The second occurred around 8pm on Howitson Court. Two males broke into the house and stole items of jewellery. The first male is described as white with a slim build, wearing khaki-coloured trousers, a dark-coloured jacket, a beanie hat, trainers and carrying a dark-coloured rucksack. The second man is described as white with a slim build, wearing a light grey tracksuit with a black stripe down both sides of the trousers and dark-coloured trainers. Anyone with information is asked to call Police Scotland via 101, quoting incident numbers 3311 or 3275 of March 13th, 2026.
Family milestone. Huge congratulations to James and Johanna Stevenson, who celebrated their 70th platinum wedding anniversary. West Lothian's Provost and Lord Lieutenant for West Lothian joined the couple to help them mark the occasion. The couple met in 1953-54 at the Dancing in Bathgate and have lived in the same family home in Whitburn throughout their marriage. James loved his garden and even won West Lothian Garden of the Year on 3 occasions. He was also a club singer and was MC in the British Legion for many years. They have 2 daughters, 3 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. The family has a long association with Whitburn Gallaudet, with James' father being president of the Gallaudet Committee for many years and was instrumental in the start of the Civic Week. In their later years, they enjoyed cruising holidays. Their first cruise was on board the MV Canberra for their silver wedding anniversary. And there's a really lovely photograph of them with the Lord Lieutenant, and Joanna's holding a beautiful bunch of flowers.
Approval sought for decriminalised parking. West Lothian Council is set to seek powers to take over parking enforcement for the area. Council executives have approved plans to progress the implementation of decriminalised parking enforcement and pavement parking legislation. A report will be presented to the Environment and Sustainability PDSP later in 2026, setting out the lengthy legal process required for the Council to be granted powers by Scottish ministers to enforce parking and pavement parking in West Lothian. The report will also include a draft business case that will be presented to Council Executive for approval prior to submission to Scottish ministers, with the whole process expected to take up to 2 years. Currently, Police Scotland are the only ones who can enforce parking, waiting and loading restrictions on the public road network in West Lothian, and they previously employed dedicated parking wardens to carry this role out until 2014. Decriminalised parking enforcement transfers the responsibility for enforcing parking regulations from the police to local authorities, with a majority of Scottish councils now operating a decriminalised parking enforcement regime. This is expected to reduce illegal parking and congestion, improve traffic flow and compliance such as blue badges, and improve road safety in West Lothian. Another report will also be presented to the Environment and Sustainability PDSP in 2026, setting out proposals to enforce pavement parking legislation in West Lothian. Preventing pavement parking will enhance safety and accessibility for all road and footpath users, particularly vulnerable groups such as those with mobility issues and parents with pushchairs. While there are additional costs incurred when setting up and staffing these new processes, it is expected to generate a small surplus which would be invested to improve transport infrastructure in West Lothian.
House builder warns children of sight dangers. Staff at a house builder returned to school this month to remind the children at Hawk Hill Primary in Winchborough about health and safety. The visit was a helpful way for Taylor Wimpey to raise awareness of the children's need to be extra vigilant as the building of its new homes progresses. Being proactive with local schools has proven an effective deterrent in the past. Peter Goldie, Site Health and Safety Advisor for Taylor Wimpey East Scotland, said, "Health and safety in and around our construction areas is of vital importance to Taylor Wimpey. Taking this type of proactive approach with local schools allows us to reinforce just how important it is for children to stay away from building sites, and it gives us the chance to remind the children that building sites are not playgrounds." Kirsten Patience, head teacher at Hawkhill Primary, added, "It's great that Taylor Wimpey understands the importance of our children's safety and has adopted an interactive, proactive approach to appeal to our pupils. For more information on the range of new homes available at Seaton Rise in Winchborough, visit www.taylorwimpey.co.uk/Seaton-Rise. And there's a great photo of Peter Goldie from Taylor Wimpey alongside some Hawkhill Primary School pupils with their hard hats and high-vis vests on.
Trust taking over centre. Whitburn's successful Community Development Trust will take on the management of the town's community centre next month. The CDT, fully operational since 2019, will run the building under a recharge lease as part of the changes to centres which come into being in April. David MacDonald, the trust manager, said the team were delighted at the move and called for community support to make the takeover a success. The building has recently reopened after refurbishment. The building offers sports facilities and community meeting rooms. It has a large sports hall, a soft play area, squash court, 2 fitness rooms with a changing room and showers, and 5 meeting rooms which can also be hired for social functions. The building sits in its own extensive grounds in Man's Drive. Mr MacDonald told the local Democracy Reporting Service, "We are delighted to share that from April the 1st we will be undertaking the operation of Whitburn Community Centre through a lease and agreement with West Lothian Council under a recharge model. To ensure we can make this sustainable, we need to generate income for the building to cover the running costs. We have also been working in collaboration with the current management committee, who have kindly donated the current assets to allow us to keep these available for the community and to allow us a better chance of being successful. We would like to take the opportunity to thank them for all the hard work they have undertaken for the community. If you're interested in hiring a room, running an activity, or would simply like more information, get in touch by emailing info@whitburncdt.org. UK. The opening times from May will be 8:30am to 9pm Monday to Friday and 8:30am to 3:30pm on the weekends. Mr MacDonald said, "We look forward to continuing to work with the community and to making the centre a great success."
Break-in as police appeal launched. And this is an article by Nicholas Malaysia. Police are appealing for information following a housebreaking in Paulbeth. The incident took place between 4am and 10pm on Friday, March 13th at a property in Five Sisters View. Entry was forced at the rear of the property, where the patio doors were smashed. Thankfully, nothing was taken. Police Scotland Constable Mark Kerr said, "Our inquiries are ongoing, and I would ask anyone who may have witnessed anything suspicious around that time of the incident to contact us as soon as possible. In addition, anyone with any relevant CCTV, doorbell or dashcam footage is asked to come forward, as this may be able to assist. Anyone with any information is asked to contact 101, quoting reference 1593 of 15th March 2026. Alternatively, information can be passed anonymously to Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
For more dog waste bins, an article by Stuart Somerville. A West Lothian village has seen an influx of pet dogs in the last few years, according to a local councillor during a debate on dog fouling. Dog waste bins are filling up within days of being emptied, a meeting held this month. Carol John thanked Operational Services for the new dog fouling warning stencils placed around the village, but asked, "Can we have a look at these bins?" At the last meeting of East Livingston and East Calder Local Area Committee, Councillor John told of the abuse he'd faced for suggesting to pet owners to take dog mess home with them. At this month's meeting, he said, "I think everybody who has moved into East Calder in the last 3 years must have a dog. The big bins are emptied and 4 days later they are getting filled up again. Grey bags are being placed beside the bins and they are getting filled. I can think of 2, maybe 3 sites where it is happening." Councillor John thanks Simon Scott from Operational Services for the new stenciling warning owners to clean up after their pets. He asked if it could be extended to the newer streets south of Langton Road in the village. "The stenciling is having a good effect," he told the meeting. "It would be good to see some more once the weather gets better." Mr Scott said more stenciling could be done and the council can also supply large stickers. Mr Scott reiterated previous advice to people to report overflowing bins, pointing out that all bins will be on a schedule for regular emptying. He said we can look and consider whether it's on the right programme and look at that. He advised Councillor John to report the location for staff to pick up and empty.
Rose in the title mix. Linlithgow Rose boss Gordon Herd is trying to keep his side's feet on the ground after the Lowland League title race swung in their favour. The gallant 2-0 win over Berwick Rangers on Saturday, coupled with leaders Bonnyrigg Rose drawing 3-3 with Celtic B, means if Herd's men win their 2 games in hand, they would go to the top of the table. But he was keen to play that down after a double from Callum Ray earned a 19th win in 28 games. Herd told the club media, "We just have to take it on 1 game at a time. We have 2 difficult games with East Stirling and Civil Service Strollers coming up, and they will probably be similar to today. Teams like to sit in against us and we won't get anything easy. For now, we just want to concentrate on 1 game at a time. We have done well to catch up because a lot of people had written us off when we lost to Hearts B a few weeks ago." Reflecting on the win over Berwick, Herd said, "Berwick always make it difficult for us. They beat us 3-1 in the last game earlier in the season, and they have been one of the form teams in the league recently, winning their last 3 games and got good results against Tranent and Bonnyrigg away from home. So we knew it would be difficult. We had the majority of the ball and we got our noses in front at half-time, then got the second after the break to see it out. This Saturday, Rose will be playing host to Shire and Broxburn Athletic host Cumbernauld Colts."
And this is a rugby article and the headline is "Regs beaten by last kick of the ball." A thick mist in Ardrossan greeted the Linlithgow raiding party for this National League Division 4 game between the second and third ranked sides in the table. The pitch was in poor condition with a few sanded areas and a soft tacky surface covering most of the playing area. The Reds' travelling support was sizable for this last away game of the season, and the away team did not disappoint as they tried to play their usual expansive game against a very one-dimensional home outfit. Both teams were at full strength for what turned out to be a real physical encounter. The visitors kicked off down the slope and quickly established a position in the Ardrossan 22-metre area. The home side conceded many penalties as they tried to keep the Reds at bay. The away side refused several kickable penalties as they chased tries, but to no avail in the first 20 minutes. Ardrossan eventually got into the Reds' territory and won a penalty which they kicked to make the score 3-0. There was an immediate reaction from the visitors, with Ewan Mochrie scoring a close-range try after Jamie Tulloch was held just short of the try line. Jack Frame added the conversion. Ardrossan did add another penalty soon after, but the Reds stormed back downfield and were rewarded with a typically slick try. Hooker Kyle Ormond found Oscar Davis in the line-out, and Archie Rusak set the backs running hard at the Ardrossan midfield defence, and after some neat passing, Jack Frame sent Ewan Curran over the line to complete a final scoring move. However, the home side claimed the final score of the half when, after a line-out catch and drive, they rumbled over the line for a try, which was subsequently converted for 13-12 at half-time. Despite playing most of the good ambitious rugby during this half, the Reds were trailing at the break. The home side played a very limited game involving number 8 pickups, long kicks from the number 10 and some decent line-out play. However, the limited approach obviously works for them, as they are second in the division with only 3 defeats all season, 2 of which came at the hands of leaders Cartha QP. The second half started ominously with some early territorial pressure being applied by Ardrossan. However, after weathering the storm, the Reds hit a purple patch, scoring 3 tries in a fantastic 15-minute spell. After Jamie Tulloch dislodged the ball from the hands of the home full-back Oscar Davis, and Andrew Graham tidied up, and Archie Rusak fired out a pass to Alfie Muir, whose turn released Ross Tulloch, and he timed a nice pass to Jack Frame, who outstripped the covering defence to score a 70-metre run. The second try in this spell came from a typically adventurous effort when Ewan Curran scored wide out on the left wing after great interplay between forwards and backs. There were several strong carries by the pack setting up Ross Tulloch to supply the final pass to Ewan Curran. The next try came straight from a poor restart kick by the Ardrossan number 10. From the resulting scrum, Archie Rusak decided to try the narrow side, and this caught the home defence by surprise. Archie fed Ross Tulloch, who slipped the ball to Alfie Muir, who sprinted from halfway to score a fine try. At this stage, with about 20 minutes remaining, the Reds held 13-27 advantage and needed to continue to stretch the tiring Ardrossan forward pack. However, the visitors were unable to sustain their play in the wide areas, and Ardrossan pulled them back into a close quarters game, which suited the home side. In addition, the Reds began to be penalised on a regular basis, which led to play moving into the 22-metre area. The visitors also deployed the replacements from the bench with Cam McHardy, Murray Johnson, Kieran Cochrane and Ian McGee trying to shore up the team as the game headed for a tight finish. The home side scored from a line-out and drive before adding another try on the right wing. Only one of these tries was converted, but that still took a scoreline from 25 to 27, with only a few minutes left to play. However, the visitors made a superb effort to defend their goal line and succeeded in denying Ardrossan a bonus point try. With the crowd baying for the final whistle, the Reds even managed a late breakout, but the final pass was adjudged to have gone forward, and from the ensuing scrum, the home side were awarded a penalty, which they kicked. The referee blew for full time, 28-27 to Ardrossan. It was an agonising end to a game where the team playing most of the rugby lost out in controversial circumstances. Although there were several stoppages in play, the referee clearly indicated 12 minutes left to play and then proceeded to play fully 18 minutes rather than 12. However, some credit must go to Ardrossan for finding the way to win despite their limited creativity. All in all, much to be proud of in the performance, and it confirmed that the Reds belong in the top few clubs in the division. This week sees the last fixture at home to Cartha QP, who can clinch the Division 4 title at Mains Park if they win. A great incentive for the Reds to spoil the Cartha party and complete the league programme with a win. And the article includes several full action pictures, obviously a very close and perhaps controversial result.
Well, that's us at the end of this week's recording, so when you've finished listening to it, please put the memory stick back into the folder and return it to us as soon as you can. Please remember to turn over the address label, leaving the cut-off corner at the top right-hand side. And with that, it's goodbye from me, Rebecca.
Goodbye from Jane.
And goodbye from Christina.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.